So in this video, we'll be going over how to decode the checkerboard cipher. So the checkerboard cipher is a new cipher in the 2025 to 2026 season. And in my opinion, it is a pretty easy cipher and it's supposed to be done very, very quickly, hence the low point values for it. But these are the ciphers that distinguish between the top teams, so it's very important to know as well. This cipher, the checkerboard cipher, is very similar to the nihilist ciphers in some ways. So if you haven't watched a nihilist cipher video that I posted or don't know how to solve a nihilist cipher, please watch that or understand that first before learning the cipher, because this one is a little bit more complicated. So the checkerboard cipher has the same Polybius square as a nihilist cipher. However, instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like you're used to in the nihilist cipher, it actually has 3 keywords. One, the Polybius key, which we're used to, another key here on the left-hand side, and another key on the top-hand side. And these keys are all 5-letter words, and the Polybius key can be any length. So let's say, for example, on the left-hand side, we have the keyword Earth. And on the top, we have a keyword of globe. And let's say for our Polybius key, we have a keyword of science. So let's just fill that in. So this will be our filled out Polybius square for the checkerboard cipher. And what the checkerboard cipher ciphertext is going to be is it's going to consist of each letter, corresponding letter in an answer is going to be represented by a 2-letter sort of word. And what this is going to be is it's going to take the first letter from this side and the second letter from this side. So for example, a ciphertext letter might be EL. And what this corresponds to is EL, which corresponds to C. So our corresponding answer letter would be C. Let's say, for example, they gave you RE. What would this correspond to? Well, you have on the left-hand side R, and on the right-hand side E, which corresponds to the letter O. So our corresponding answer letter would be O. Now, just for one more example, they give us the ciphertext HL, for example. What will this correspond to? Well, we have H and L. This corresponds to the letter W. So our answer would be W. So this is sort of the pattern you will follow for the checkerboard cipher. And now we're going to go over an example question for how to solve it. One thing to notice in solving the checkerboard cipher is that they won't necessarily give you these keywords, these left and top keywords. You will have to figure them out yourself, and I'll go over how you're supposed to do that. So here we have a practice question for the checkerboard cipher. So in this question, this is how it's usually structured. We'll be only given a Polybius key. We will not be given the keys here on the left and the top. We have to figure them out ourselves. And there's a method to do that I'll speak about later when doing the cipher. But first things first, we can start with filling out the Polybius key in the main part of the table. So based on our knowledge of the Polybius square, we start with the keyword S, P, E, C, I, A, L, T, Y. Then we start from A to Z alphabetically. So we go B, we can skip C, D, skip E, F, G, H, skip I and J, because remember they're in the same square. K, skip L, M, N, O, skip P, Q, R, skip S and T, U, V, W, X, we skip Y, and then Z. So now we have the square filled out. Now what we can do is try to figure out the left hand in the top keywords. And we do this by a certain method. So what this method is, we take the first letters, we look at the first letters of everything, of every single ciphertext, and write down all the unique letters for them. So for the first letter, you have an F, then a K, then another F, so we don't write it, then a K, then an A, which is unique, then a E, which is unique, and then let's see, we keep on going, then we see a D. So what I did is basically I looked at the first letter and kept on going and looked for all the unique ones. So I saw an F, I saw A, I saw a K, I saw E, and I saw a D. So I got F, K, A, E, D, and there's usually only 5 possible first letters, as there are only 5 possible first letters at the left side of the table. And what we have to do is we have to anagram these 5 letters to form a word that we know. Based on this, a word I immediately see is the word faked. Oops, faked. So I'll assume that that is probably the word in our table. So remember, the first letter always goes onto the left. So we have the keyword faked here. So now we look at the second letter, which is S-O. So you have S and O. We have another S, so we don't count that. We have a K. We have an R. Let's look for another unique one. We have C. And now we have to anagram this. Based on this, I see a 5-letter word, and that would be rocks. And this is a common word, so I think this might be the key. So what I'll do is write rocks. So now we have our Polybius key filled out, and we can solve the rest of the cipher. So from the top left, we have FS. We can see that that corresponds to F, and S, which corresponds to I. So our first letter in our answer will be I. Then we have KO in the next part of our ciphertext, which corresponds to KO, gives us F. So F is our next letter in our ciphertext, or in our answer. And we can keep on doing this, right? So speeding it up, FS corresponds to I, KK corresponds to H, AR corresponds to A, KR corresponds to D, AR corresponds to A, and then ES, just one more example I'm going to walk through, ES corresponds to R. So doing it at full speed will look something like this. So this is our answer to our cipher. So, and as always, we should always split the words so the graders can have an easy time to grade. So this would be, if I had a robot friend, they would be electric. So this is the checkerboard cipher. If you have any questions, feel free to text me or email me, and I'll be more than welcome to answer any of your questions. And good luck in tryouts.